Brothers and sisters, this is lovely marker sketch I make of Annie. She is a very nice girl and is very much the subject of this week's episode. So, hope you enjoy, and if you do, follow me on the social networks. Attack on Titan, Episode 23, Smile. Smile? Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review, hopefully fun, hopefully insightful, maybe a little bit comedic, I don't know, for Shingeki no Kyojin, also known as Attack on Titan, or the other way around, whichever way you want to look at it. So here we are at episode 23, and the last one I think was a good one because it was obviously everybody having to retreat and get back. Certainly we were able to see Levi in action, which was great. But at the end of it, it was kind of left off hanging with, okay, and it's been decided that Eren's got to go to be turned over to the monarchy, the military police, what have you, right? So that's how things left off. And this is really cool because the way this one begins is really neat, and I'll tell you why for a couple of reasons. So it starts out, and it's a flashback of her childhood when she was training with her father of Annie. And if you remember back in episode 3, I believe it was, or 4, she talked about how she learned all of her hand-to-hand combat type stuff from her father and this and that, but it's useless and everything else. Now, this is a character that I think they could have developed a little better along the way because we only saw flashes of her and then didn't see her for a number of episodes, and now all of a sudden she's here, which kind of makes what winds up happening in this episode, to me, very obvious. But putting that aside, it was still done very well. So we see her training and how her father basically is relentless, doesn't give her a break, and that's kind of where she got like that just don't stop, don't quit attitude. And then it goes and it shows her, and she was dreaming, of course. This flashback was actually a dream. She wakes up, and she's like at the bottom bunk of a bunk bed. She wakes up, and I mean, she seriously looks like she was just part of an all-night gangbang. I mean, her hair is all over the place. She just looks all just tired and frazzled and just fucked up, right? So again, hints that make what happens in this very obvious as it goes along. So this episode mostly focused on her, especially during the first half of it. She's at military headquarters in Stohess, and she goes downstairs in formation with everybody else, and we're introduced to this other character that seems like you might kind of like her a little bit or have an affection for, Marlow. And he talks about everybody else is kind of giving her some shit because she never really talks, she never this. And he's like, you know what? She just came from Trost. She's actually the only one here that's been in a real fight, so cut her some slack. So we wind up seeing one of this. This is really to show the corruption of the military police and just how terrible and ham-handed they are. Because we wind up getting one of the higher ranking officers come up and he talks to the lineup and basically, they start out and they go and they give their salute. And he's just like, yeah, don't even worry about that. You see, it's just so loose, and I don't have time for that. Listen, the officers here are busy with other stuff, and what you guys need to do is you're going to act as like a backup escort for the Survey Corps and those that are coming to be, like on trial today. So I guess they're going to have another one of these trials or what have you, right, at the monarchy or the courthouse. You basically need to, you're pretty much just going to be like tag along in the city. You get to use your maneuver gear in the city, which is normally banned, and you're just going to basically work alongside their security detail. So Marlow questions it, and he says, well, why do, nobody attacks anybody against the monarchy or inside the walls? What the hell? Why would we need this extra security? He starts questioning it, and this officer goes and just kind of slaps him with the clipboard and the paperwork. He's like, here, you take care of it. You're in charge now. Well, us officers got other stuff to do. And he walks in this room, and they're all like playing games and having a good time, probably drinking, whatever, watching porn, I don't know. And and they kind of, close the door and walks away. The next scene has this same group of recently, recently joined military police. And there's this goofy girl, too. I forget what her name was. But she's just kind of a dipshit, and they kind of insinuate that she basically, like, screwed her way to the top, because she's so dumb. There's no way she could have been one of the top 10, in her graduating class. But nonetheless, it's these fresh recruits, and they're talking. And Marlow's talking about how it's bullshit that they're so corrupt, and he wants to change, things. And because everybody calls him out and says, listen, man, you calling military police corrupt and lazy and everything like that, you joined it, So you know what's going on. And the ditzy girl even says that's why she joined the military police, because she knows it's just a bunch of shit, and they don't really do anything. So we kind of see, again, some of that corruption, and we see this is a guy who really wants to make change. There's a scene a little bit later on, too, where when they're going to get ready into position, of course, he's like the squad leader now for this excursion, that he comes upon and sees by one of the barges, he sees two higher-ranking officers of the military police that's selling maneuver gear like on the black market to like a merchant, So after the merchant goes and leaves, he goes and confronts these two, and this Marlow, and he's just kind of, he's a character that should have been introduced earlier in there so we could know a little bit about him, because you just sort of, you get thrown at you and you're just thinking, okay, why is this guy here? But he winds up confronting them. The officers, tell him, hey, tough shit, man. We're going to do what we do. You're going to go against a senior officer. And he goes and tries to grab one of them and go against him, and they beat the living shit out of him. And it looks like they're just about to go and pull out a gun and maybe shoot him or execute him, arrest him, what have you. And Annie goes and steps in. And Annie's usually pretty quiet about things. She said a few things during the course of the day about changing things and about being human and all these other things that, again, kind of allude to what you wind up finding out, the big reveal in this episode towards the end. So Annie steps in and winds up stopping them from hitting him and shows this act of kindness, I guess you would say. And her and the ditzy girl just basically pretend like Marlow's kind of an idiot and he didn't really know what he was doing. Like, hey, forgive him, he's stupid, just he doesn't understand the flow of corruption around here, right? So, or do you want to make a big scene about it? And they wind up walking away. As they're walking away, Marlow's like shaking and sweating. He's going to go grab his gun. He just wants to shoot him down, right? And Annie says, go ahead and do it, So you're seeing some of the humanity, the human side of her, and kind of the heartlessness too. We wind up then seeing when they're actually on there protecting the sides of the streets later on while the caravan's coming through and all that with the prisoner Eren. We hear Armin go, Psst, Annie. And, we just presume it's Armin because I can tell his voice. But she goes around the corner in the alley and meets, and Armin's got this cloak on. And she's like, why are you all cloaked up like that? And he's like, well, I'm hiding my maneuver gear underneath here, right? So he goes and he asks her, he says, listen, we need to try to get Eren out of the city, but I need your help. I can't get past the military police, checkpoints without somebody from the military police. And she's like, no, I'm not going to help you. So he goes on this big thing about how you're really a good person and you really should, and otherwise they're going to kill him. And basically we're just trying to buy some time because she's like, you can't go against the monarchy. And he's like, we're just going to hide, we're going to lay low for a little while and kind of get the ammunition we need, so to speak, to like win in court, right? So Eren can win his freedom because he's not this monster. So something triggers something inside of her, and she decides to go along with and help him, right? And then we wind up going and kind of getting the last really cool meat and potatoes of the episode. We have Mikasa, we have Eren, we have Armin, all with their hoods over, they're kind of cloaks to cover themselves, walking through the district over here. And Annie is of course leading them now. And Annie goes and starts asking Armin, she's like, why did you wait until you were so deep towards the capital here to actually try to do an escape? Why didn't you do it before you got to Stohess? Because this is one of the last checkpoints before the end. You got to go through so much to get back out. And Armin goes, well, I didn't want to arouse suspicion. If we would have rebelled or kind of, they would have expected us to do that at first. We figured this way would buy us more time. He actually switched Jean with Eren. And Jean's actually in the wagon handcuffed right now going to this trial. And he's like, but they're not going to buy that for long, And then Eren's like, yeah, we don't even look like each other. And they're like, yeah, you both look similar enough or whatever. And he's like, I don't look like that idiot. So you see some comedy with that. But you see Annie kind of questioning and having a bit of suspicion as to why Armin is doing this and everything else. She ultimately winds up buying what he says, though, because it makes sense. He's very good strategic-wise, and he's proven time and time again that he's very, very sharp with things. So we wind up then going and seeing they get to this area where it looks like these stairs that go down to like an underground, maybe tunnels, and Armin, she says, and they stop, and as they go to start walking, Annie's like, what's this, and he goes, well, it's, underground, there's this old city that they started to work on, and it's going to take us closer to the gate we need to get out without being in the open. There was also some talk, too, again, about the military police and how they were just walking through town so easily with nobody bothering them, and Eren made a crack about how they're so freaking lazy, blah, blah, blah. So the whole time, like I said, you're building up towards this big reveal because, of course, we want to know, what's going on. So we wind up having the three of them walk down, Mikasa, Eren, and Armin, and they're walking down the stairs, and they're like, come on, Annie. And then Eren says, what, are you afraid of dark, cramped spaces? And she goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, I am. She's like, make fun of me all you want, but, I'm not a big, strong person like you, right? So, and it's kind of neat because you also see from earlier in the episode, she sort of has like this respect for Eren because he does, even though he goes against the grain sometimes and is like persecuted for his good deeds, he does what he thinks is right and just does it. That's it, And so she's standing at the top of the stairs and there's this back and forth for a couple of minutes where she's like, I'm not coming down there and blah, blah. Armin kind of starts going, and then he's like, you know what? And then now, really, he fully, truly comes out with it. He lured Annie here to begin with. He figured out what I thought 6 or 7 episodes ago, and that was either Annie or Krista were the Titan. Then when the female Titan appeared one time and then it flashed to Krista, I assumed it wasn't her. Annie was the only one not there. But that was only if they were even going to use somebody as the thing. So this isn't like an aha, I told you so type of thing. It's like, whoa, really? I was right? So we see this going back and forth, and he talks about, he goes, I didn't figure it out until I saw you have Marco's maneuver gear. And Marco, of course, had died. Now, I'm thinking that she doesn't admit it or anything, but I'm thinking that back when Marco died, that was back when they came in, swooped in to save Jean, right? And Annie went and dropped in, we assumed, and we just kind of saw some... And maybe she went in and killed Marco. In the confusion, figured, hey, everybody will think he got killed by a Titan. I can steal his maneuver gear and swap it out. Because ultimately, that's what Armin figured out, is that she took Marco's maneuver gear, which I never knew about. But he trained with Marco, and they basically knew every dent and ding on their maneuver gear, blah, blah, knew it from top to bottom. That's how he knew. So he says, so you killed Sawney and Bean, the 2 Titans, because that was obviously somebody that used maneuver gear, because everybody else's had been checked and accounted for. And she's like, oh, maybe. And she's not really admitting to anything, but you can kind of tell that, like, she's on the spot now, And now Eren still wants to believe in her. Eren's, like, screaming. He's like, yeah, but you can prove us wrong, you idiot. Just come down here. Just come down here and you'll be fine, And she's like, no, I'm not going down there. So you realize that, Eren's still trying to hope beyond hope that Armin was wrong. Armin figured this shit out and devised this plan. And the whole time it's getting kind of quiet, and we see some other troops with maneuver gear up on the roofs. It looks like hiding and stuff. So you think this is kind of like a, this is like a lure him into a trap type of deal. And what winds up happening then is, so he's screaming, Eren's screaming, and she's like, I'm not going down there, stand at the top of these steps. Mikasa just goes and throws her shit off, pulls her blade, and she's like, that's it. She's like, I'm going to hack you to pieces just like last time. Female Titan. And then it goes and it zooms into Annie, and she's looking down, and you think something badass is going to happen. She looks up, and her cheeks get like red as hell, and she just starts chuckling. And I think it's that she's just kind of laughing it off like, you stupid idiot. Like, who cares if you know that I can kill every one of you. Or maybe it's like she's still trying that last-ditch effort to be like, yeah, do you know how absurd that sounds? Do you know what proof do you have? Do you know how, it's just hearsay, right? Either way, Armin goes, and he's had his hand on a flare gun the whole time. He's the one who started this whole operation. He's a freaking awesome little genius. He goes and pulls his flare out and fires the signal, right? And all of a sudden, a bunch of, like, Assassin's Creed type people come in, just jumping in off walls and flipping, and some of them just look like they're in plain clothes. Some of them are dressed as, like a survey corps. I don't know, maybe they're military police. Whatever the operation is, a bunch of people come in and they grab her. I mean, they gag her. They got her going, right? Well, earlier when she said she was going to join up with Armin and help him, she went and put on this ring on her finger, and we just kind of thought, okay, whatever, it's a ring, right? Well, we know that the catalyst for Eren is damage, hurting himself, and when he picked up that metal spoon, too, they said that, Hanji said because it was between his thumb and forefinger, that also triggered something. So she's got this ring on. We see, as she's struggling, and everybody's like 10 people on her, that she has a spike on the ring, right? And then all of a sudden, in a flash, we see blood come out, and we're like, oh, shit. So Eren's starting to try to go towards towards her up the stairs. Mikasa grabs Eren and grabs Armin and goes to run into the tunnel, and she's like, no, sorry, we're too late. And she starts running. As she does that, because she knows they're fucked, right? They're not going to be able to take this thing out in the middle of the streets one-on-one, And so she goes and pulls them away, and it doesn't actually show Annie as the female Titan, but we can assume, because it leaves us with a to be continued, as it zooms out and kind of shows the flash of lightning, type of deal when the Titan comes in, and we see bodies flying everywhere from all the people that were holding her. So, man, it was really cool. It had the least amount of action probably in any episode that there has been this season, but it was really cool how the plan was devised and was so devious. And really, there's only a couple little things that I would have done better to not make it so obvious that Annie was the female Titan, and that would have just been to integrate her a little bit more throughout, as they did with many of the other characters, and not just shy away from her exclusively during that 6 or 7 part, episodes where the female Titan was, of course, center stage. I think that was a mistake, because even though she was with the military police and supposed to be off somewhere else, I just think that it kind of left you hanging, So and really left it not open to the imagination, but really like, this is the only blonde person that we know. So if you expect the mole to be somebody that we know, because you keep alluding to that, it's got to be her. So let me know what you think, though. Did you know it was the female Titan? And I mean, be honest. If you read the manga first, go back in your memory banks to when you were reading the manga. Did you know that Annie was the female Titan? You know, that's what I would like to know. So leave your answer to that question, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. And then, of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I look forward to catching you in the next one, nation. Ooh, see, I told you it was that skinny little white bitch. I told you she got that crazy look in her eyes. I told you she was the female type. Mark my words. Hey, who's right? Who's right?